Hi, and thank you for joining us on Real Estate for Millennials. My name is Sara Shahmoradian, aka Millennial Realtor LA, and today joining us is Ted. We'll be talking about home insurance. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we have a farmers insurance agency in La Crescenta. We've been doing it for 10 years now, so it's been a great business
So
for
you're a
us.
pro in the game.
We try to be.
Yeah.
We try to be as professional as we can be. We always want to position ourselves, I'm sure the same you do with your clients, as becoming a trusted advisor.
Yeah, of course, of course. So I'm really happy you're here. One of the most important parts of buying a home is home insurance.
Absolutely.
Because this really protects the buyer and a new home, first-time home buyer from, any accidental or major damages to the home, and it saves them a lot of money, right? And this is also something that Escrow looks for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and start with what is home insurance. Let's explain to the viewers.
In simplest term, insurance is simply a transfer of risk, right? I pay the insurance company my premium. In turn, if all of these horrible events happen, the insurance company promises to rebuild my home, pay for loss of use, extra expenses. There's a liability claim. So there's a lot of different parts to home insurance, but the simplest part is it's a transfer of risk from a consumer to an insurance carrier. It's a pooled risk. So we all put our money in, and just like what's happened over the last few years in California with fires, is my home didn't burn down, but my premium dollars went to pay for someone else's home to be rebuilt. And the same would happen if it was my home and someone else didn't have a loss.
Right. And do you want to explain the difference between home warranty and home insurance?
Sure. Home warranty is really for wear and tear. Whenever you look at insurance, I always tell my clients, for any insurance claim, you need to be able to apply the terms sudden and accidental. If we're dealing with a water loss, the word burst really needs to be a part of what we're looking at for it to be covered. Whereas home warranty is really going to cover more wear and tear. My air conditioning unit went out. My hot water heater stopped making hot water, those kind of things. Whereas home insurance is going to cover for fire losses, theft, water damage, which we can certainly discuss at length if need be, liability claims, etc. So there's definitely different moving pieces to it, but very separate, and certainly within the new buyer world, often misunderstood and confused, and you're looking at a home warranty issue thinking it's home insurance, etc. So
you gave me a good example about the water heater one. Why don't we tell them about that?
If I came in one day and instead of walking across my kitchen and enjoying my afternoon, instead I walk across and my shoes get wet because I look over and there's a big hole in my hot water heater and it's burst water and is hemorrhaging through the house, that's covered, right? Sudden and accidental burst of water when we're looking at it. But instead, say one morning, I'm running late, the kids are driving me crazy, and I get out of the shower and I happen to notice some discoloring on the floorboard. I don't think about it much, and the kids are yelling, and I get out of the house that day. And a few days later, I look at it again. It's a little deeper, it's a little darker, it's a little uglier. That's really not an insurance claim. Anything that's happening over time is not insurable.
So sudden and accidental.
There's your big terms for the day. Sudden and accidental. Those are covered.
That's
Things
very
that
clear.
happen over time are not insurable events.
Not insurable. Okay, that's a great example. Thank you for that. And I always ask every episode because, when you're in a escrow, certain things are paid by the seller, certain things are paid by the buyer. We explained last week in home warranty that the seller pays for the first year. Does that happen with insurance?
Not at all.
No,
I'm not going to pay to insure my old home as someone moves in. Most frequently when we're dealing with first-time buyers, that insurance premium payment is going to come out of the escrow account. So it's going to get built into their monthly payments on their mortgage. I actually prefer that methodology. It certainly makes it easier. The one pay is always easy because you're not having to chase any payments. And it's built into your mortgage. So it makes it really easy for the consumer. After year one, the consumer could choose, hey, I want to pay it instead of paying into escrow for it, or I want the mortgagee to continue paying it, or I want to pull it off and go on a different payment plan.
Yeah.
But probably about 99% of first-time buyers, escrow's not going to leave that out there floating. They're going to pay for the insurance out of the escrow to
Oh,
close.
of course, yeah. So it is mandatory. I want to explain that. So it is mandatory. Escrow does look for home insurance before closing the deal.
Mandatory for lenders. You cannot close a loan without insurance.
Yeah, you have to have insurance.
Yes.
So that's definitely something that a first-time home buyer wouldn't know. And it's something that I have explained to a lot of my first-time home buyers. They have to go out and find their own home insurance because it's really what you prefer and what you want, who you want to deal with, for your home insurance.
Certainly.
Which home insurance coverage do you recommend to get?
Well, I mean, on a standard home, you've got what's called HO3. It's just an insurance term, homeowners form 3. And that's your most common coverage. There's certainly some minimalistic policies out there. You've got some homes that get stuck in brush who end up on the FAIR plan. The FAIR plan's a really minimalistic policy. Most companies, Farmers included, have created what are called difference in conditions, DIC policies, that basically take the FAIR plan, which is basically fire, wind, and hail. No water, no theft, no personal liability. And so Farmers is a product where if you take the FAIR plan and the Farmers FAIR plan companion and put them together, you end up with that full, robust
Oh, cool. Okay.
coverage package.
Yeah.
So we always have an answer. It's certainly a tough marketplace right now. 2020 is going to be a hardening market for insurance, which means premiums are moving up. If anybody's paid attention in California over the last couple of years as far as fires, you understand exactly why home premiums are moving up across the board.
Okay, talking about that, that's a good segue. Let's explain money-wise. So how much should they be budgeting for this? How much does it cost? How often do they pay? You explained that it goes into their monthly payment. How often do they have to renew it? What's like the details about that?
Well, it's 99.9% of the policies out there are annual policies. Depending on which company you're working with, some companies are short rated. If you cancel midterm, like you're upset with a company and want to go to another carrier. Some companies are short rated, which means if you have 6 months left, they're only giving you 4 months of premium back. Some companies are prorated, right? I have insurance for 365 days. I use it for 180. They give me 185 back. So really important that you look at, for first-time home buyers, it's not a do-it-yourself thing. If you don't understand insurance, you haven't been in the insurance world, calling an 800 number to get insurance is something I would never recommend. Sitting down with an advisor, it's going to be and will continue to be their biggest asset. Why would you look for a cheap product? Why would you look to save money? Cost effectiveness, certainly.
Right.
Just outright saving money. And I think that's part of what's wrong with the insurance world right now. Because if you look at advertising, name the last insurance advertisement you saw that was not completely based on price.
Oh, no. Yeah. That's very true.
And that's where we end up. And you're looking at these huge assets. For auto insurance, you have a humongous accident. You have state minimums. You're attached to for the rest of your life, possibly, all in the effort to save a few dollars on a monthly premium.
Yeah. So you're recommending to always get the better coverage.
Always better coverage. Always working with an agent. There's certainly good and bad out there for all of it, but I'm just not a big fan of the 1-800 stuff because if you're not in the insurance world, why would you just call an 800 number and have them push buttons and give you something? Right. Instead of sitting down with an advisor so that you can understand your policy, maybe even make some changes, increase some limits that maybe you wouldn't have even thought of and never would have been advised to do with an 800 number.
Can we give some prices?
Sure.
Numbers, yeah?
Yeah. It always depends on the home. There's a lot of different factors to it. There's the size of the home, the year of the home, how new the roof is, how old the roof is.
Oh, so you check everything.
We look for every part of it because we're on the hook for a huge amount of money.
Right. No, I totally get that.
In the event of a claim. Fire line score, how close they are to brush, slope of hills. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. In Southern California, across my book of business, the average home premium is probably between $1,000 and $1,500 on an annual basis. Now, don't get me wrong.
Annual.
Yeah, annual. Okay. So, we're looking at $100 a month. As an insurance carrier, we don't care if you're buying in La Cañada, Boyle Heights, San Marino, Riverside. It doesn't matter. It's how much does it cost to build that home.
That's a great point to.
So when we look at reconstruction costs, we want to be typically $200 to $300 in this area, at least $200 to $300 per square foot. So I got a 1,500 square foot home. I really don't want to be insuring that for less than $300,000 on the reconstruction.
That's not to say you're paying $300,000. That's your insurance policy.
That's the coverage amount.
That's the coverage amount.
Yeah, so that would be coverage a dwelling, $300,000.
Okay,
so that's a dwelling limit.
Okay.
Right. So my house burns down, we'll pay up to $300,000 to rebuild it.
It's a good thing to understand. So it's reasonable, it's doable, and it's important to get. So
it's huge. I mean, why would you play games with
right.
the largest asset you have?
I totally agree. Yeah.
For so many families, that's it. I mean, you have a retirement account. You have nothing.
Right.
Even comes close to the home ownership part and protecting that investment and things that you've worked your entire life to get to.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And talking about, having the new roof and the things that you guys look at, do you look at a home inspection? Is that something that's necessary? Do you look at like pre-existing conditions, the way that home warranty does?
We definitely want to look at the home. So if
you come out and look at it.
I will go look at a home before I insure it typically.
Okay.
If it's geographically really tough to get to, I may call another farmer's agent who's local to that community and have them take a peek for me. We're really looking for condition of the home. Obviously, when it's getting purchased, 9 times out of 10, unless it's just a, as-is purchase, the homes are going to be in pretty good shape. But we're looking for different things. We're looking for the condition of the roof. That's huge because of water losses, water coming in. We want to look for brush, trees. You never want to have a tree that's extending over your property and touching the property. Because now you've created a lot of different issues. There's fire. The tree catches fire and it's touching the house. The fire goes to the house. You've got rodent accessibility. So a rodent goes up, comes across, and now is on your roof and moving around. And then obviously over time, branches, etc., can cause damage to tiles and shingles. Yeah, so in a claim scenario, frequently our clients will call into the office. Obviously, they're usually in a state of duress at that point because something's happened. What I typically do is have them walk me through the loss. So, when they call in for the claim, I'm going to have them walk me through the scenario that led to the loss and try to give my best advice as to whether it's a valid claim or not. Now, if it's valid, we're going to get on with farmers. We're going to file the claim.
You help them through that.
I
guide them.
I guide them through and get them connected with claims and have them file the claim.
Okay.
Some clients want me to file the claim, but my point coming back to them is every question they're going to ask me,
I have to ask
you. Let's not play the middleman game. You have the firsthand knowledge. You're going to be able to give the best information here. And then once the claim's filed, the adjuster team starts to get to work, calls the client, makes an appointment, comes out to the home, inspects everything. I can't, as an agent, I keep tabs on it. I'm not involved in the claims process, as I'm sure you can understand. It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, of course.
But we are an advocate during the process. So I always tell my clients, hey, file the claim. I'll see it. I'll keep an eye on it. If I don't hear from you, I'm making the assumption that our claims team, which is phenomenal, is doing their phenomenal job that they always do. In the absence of that, contact me. And then I become an advocate for my clients. Either they're not getting answers in a timely manner, they're not understanding, they're not agreeing with something, where I start to work with the adjusting team to figure out where we get to, a point where everybody's happy.
Yeah, okay, this makes sense. All of that is great. And how long does that claim process take and then that claim process, and then to the point of them getting actually paid or getting it fixed? Do they get paid or do they get it fixed?
They get it fixed, minus their deductible.
Okay, so they pay for a little bit, maybe a lot of it.
Yeah, and they'll get reimbursed. And we always encourage clients, anything that's going on with the claim, save every receipt. Even if you're not sure if it's going to be valid for reimbursement or not, save everything. So usually what happens, say a client makes a claim on a Monday morning, they're typically going to have an adjuster reach out before end of business Monday.
Okay.
Depending on the adjuster's schedule, the client's schedule, they'll schedule an appointment within the next few days to get out and see the damage and start getting everything going. Obviously, the claims process always depends on the extent of the damage. Smaller claims, We're going to get in, get out as
Right.
quickly as we can. And again, our goal is to return a client to being whole in the shortest time frame we possibly can. You know, a home goes completely to the ground. Yeah, now we're dealing with a pretty extended period of
Extended,
claims.
yeah, right. Okay, so I have explained how escrow and, you know, the loan officer will look for home insurance before
Sure.
the deal closes and escrow closes. In what stage of escrow does home insurance come into play? When should a
Varying
buyer?
stages.
Okay, so when should a buyer really be looking for home insurance?
My advice is if I'm interested in a house, even if I haven't put a bid in on a house, I would start to look at the insurance part. So I offer that to my clients. I offer it to local real estate agents. You know, you've got a home and you want to take a look, send me an address and we'll run some numbers, look at different things on that. But certainly waiting until the end is not a good thing.
Okay.
You know, the worst case scenario is that part where escrow's ready to get going, and in the process of closing, they go, "Hey, we need the insurance," and you
you're
go,
like,
"What?"
Yeah.
So I try to have my clients, you know, we'll have the proposals out, and then I try to make it as simple as possible. We've dealt with a client, they're happy with the proposal we've offered, and at that point, I say, "Sarah, just give my name to escrow." And the insurance part's done.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things, as you know, so many things in the transaction, especially for a first-time buyer where you feel like you're turning your world over. And how many different times do you need my bank statements and all those different things that happen?
This is what the podcast is for, because I don't think first-time home buyers really understand how many aspects there are in an escrow. So in like just getting a house, how many different people are involved, how many different companies are involved. I think it's just it just gets really overwhelming. So that's what the podcast is about, just breaking it down.
And then again, that's what we try to do for our clients. Yeah. Once they've decided on something, you know, again, hey, Sarah, give my name to escrow. Here's my, you know, they have my email. Give my name to escrow, and the insurance part's done.
Yeah. So I definitely want to reiterate that your real estate agent doesn't have anything to do with insurance, home insurance.
No.
You have to go out and get it yourself. You have to make sure that, you know, this is the person you want to work with, this is the company you want to work with, this is the coverage you want. So that's something that is definitely up to the buyer, and that's something that you have to be comfortable with doing. And the agent is just there to, I could advise you maybe, but I would never tell you who to go to and what coverage you would get. So then you would take whatever coverage and home insurance policy that you like, you would take that and give it back to back to escrow, and escrow would then clear you for that step of the process.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really amazing information. Thank you for that. I just want to end it off if you have any advice for first-time home buyers.
Start the process early. Go with a reputable company. I would always advise having an actual agent versus dealing with an 800 number, again, for selfish reasons and for consumer reasons. And really sitting down, the escrow process is chaos. So if in the escrow process you don't have the time or can't make the time to sit down with an agent and really comb over your policy to try to have an understanding, then I would recommend once escrow closes, you've moved in, life starts to settle down. Within a few months of closing, and if you haven't done it, you really should circle back with your agent and review everything.
So always listen to your experts.
Yes.
You know, don't assume anything and don't believe everything that you read online. That's the most annoying thing.
Yeah, your uncle who's never been in real estate or insurance really shouldn't be the guy you're listening to and then calling me or you going, but my uncle said.
Yeah.
You know, really sit down with people who spend time in their industries.
Yeah, definitely speak to the experts. If you're thinking about buying a house, it's not a bad idea to get a head start, sit down with a home insurance advisor and maybe like walk through something that you would be interested in, a policy that you would be interested in, and actually really understand the different policies that you have in front of you. And so when the time comes, when you actually open escrow, you know who to call, you know what kind of policy you want, you know how much it's going to be and all of that. So it's never too early to actually understand home insurance. Anything else? I think we covered about everything.
Being cost effective is great. Being cheap is terrible. Having an advisor is paramount. It's your biggest investment. And I'm in an industry where we try to manage risk. If it's your biggest investment, you've got to have the best coverage you possibly can on that.
Thank you so much for being here. This was all really great information.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening. If you haven't subscribed already, please do to my YouTube channel, and we will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.